You're listening to the Cornerstone Youth Podcast on YouTube.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. I am recording this on Monday, January 11th, and it's snowing. And so you're probably listening to this on Wednesday, and yeah, it's snowing pretty good right here on Monday as I'm recording this. So I'm excited. It's been a long time since we've seen some snow, so it's good to see that. So to jump right in, if this is your first time listening or picking this up, this is something new that we're going to try. We're going to just call it a podcast. That's basically what it is. So I'm going to be dropping these every Wednesday so you guys can go and listen to them. Listen to it while you're, doing the laundry, doing the dishes, whatever. Whenever you get a chance to listen to it, I'm going to cut it down. It's only going to take about 15 minutes of your life, hopefully. So, it's not going to take too much time. But I'm excited about the stuff that we get to talk about on here. It's good stuff. It's stuff that you need to know. So I'm excited to get started. So we're going to start a brand new, podcast series that I'm starting today. And I'm calling it Simple Math. Simple Math. And let me tell you why I'm calling it Simple Math. First of all, let me tell you that I'm terrible at math. I'm awful at it. It was by far my worst subject. I loved history. I love science. History, it's learning about where we came from and why we why we do the things that we do today and how we got to the place that we're at today. Science is cool because you get to blow stuff up. That's always fun. English was always easy for me because as I say something grammatically incorrect, English was always easy for me because, we speak that language. So, but math was always hard for me. It was easy when it was, grade school math, addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, that kind of stuff was always pretty easy. But then once they started throwing in letters, bro, it was off the rails. I could not focus on it. I could not figure it out. It was way over my head. Pre-algebra, algebra, geometry, all that stuff. And when I was in college, I had to take a class for my major that I was doing, and it was business calculus. Yeah, that sounds as horrible as the name. The class was just as bad as the name, business calculus. The fact that I got a B in that class was a miracle from God, for sure. But I was always terrible at math. I did study groups. I did all kinds of stuff. I was terrible at it. And so, but the simple math was always easy. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, that stuff was always easy. And, nowadays we have a calculator with us wherever we go. You have your phone, you have your calculator on there. But back when I was in grade school, you had to do these things in your head. You had to do these things on, you only had 10 fingers and 10 toes. So, you couldn't have a calculator wherever you went. So you had to kind of figure this stuff out in your head. So simple math was always easy. It was when we got to the tough stuff, the deeper stuff, that's where I started to struggle. And I'm not going to lie, there may be some people out there that use this stuff every single day, engineers, doctors, a lot of people that are way smarter than I am. But I'm not going to lie, it's been 15 years since I graduated, and I have yet to use the Pythagorean theorem or, X plus Y equals Z. I've yet to use that in my daily life, but at the same time, I'm using addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, sometimes on a daily basis where I'm counting stuff, I'm adding stuff up, money, anything, counting people, that's something that we do every single day. And, I think people struggle in the deep stuff, but the simple stuff kind of gets overlooked. Same thing in Christianity, I feel. We tend to get so lost and so just, I guess, distracted by the depth of theology and, what does this religion believe against my religion? What does this denomination believe against my denomination? What is this pastor saying against their pastor? What is there's 15,000 different translations of the Bible. Which one should I be reading? Which one should I be paying attention to? And I think more often than not, we get so lost in the complication. We get so lost in the, what should I be reading? What should I be paying attention to? And don't get me wrong, there are stuff out there you need to be paying attention to this stuff. But Jesus does it. He shows us that, and don't get me wrong, the theologians that are out there that know way more about this stuff, that stuff is important. We need to know that stuff. But when it comes to the basis of Christianity, when it comes to the basis of what we're trying to do here, we can't get lost in the depth of theology. We can't get lost in the depth of all this stuff. And and there's a great story in Mark chapter 15, verses I think it's 28 through 30, and I'm going to read it a little bit here to you. But it starts out with this scribe that comes to Jesus, and he asked him, Jesus, what is the greatest commandment? And that may sound like such a simple question, but you got to think this is a religious person who's got the first 5 books of the Bible memorized. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers. He's got all of that memorized. There's so many rules and so many laws and so much doctrine that he knows off the top of his head, that in his mind he's trying to figure out what is the most important. What do I need to put ahead of everything else? He's getting lost in the depth of his theology. He's getting lost in the depths of what he's supposed to do. And Jesus so beautifully and so just efficient tells him, he says right here in Mark chapter 15, verse 30, it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength. And the second is love your neighbor as yourself. And then this last part, which is so important, there is no other command greater than these. That's so important that you need to hear that. There's no other command that is greater than these. What he's telling this person who has all this knowledge, all this biblical knowledge, like I said, he had the first 5 books of the Bible memorized. He's telling him, if you just focus on these 2 things, you'll have it. If you focus on loving me and loving your neighbor, in some translations it says loving other people. If you focus on those 2 things, you got it. So don't get lost in the depth. He was so lost in the depth of trying to keep every single rule and every single law that was in this book. Because if you go back and read all these rules and those laws, you'll get so lost in the depth of all of this. You will get so lost in the deep theologies of what's this supposed to mean and why do we do this and what does this translate to. When God is sitting here, Jesus is sitting here telling this guy, he's like, love me and love people. If you do that, you got it. Love me and love people. Love me, which means grow close to me. Grow close in relationship with me. Read your Bible every day. Show up on Sundays with a good attitude and positive and be ready to worship. Don't worry about whatever's happened in the world. He's like, I got that. Focus on loving me, building a relationship with me, and coming into church on Sunday. Whether you're at church, worship. We are created to worship. We are created to worship. We are beings that were created to worship Jesus and God. That's what we need to be focused on. Love me, build a relationship with him, and then love people. The way this world is going right now, it's pulling us apart, and we'll talk about division here in a couple of weeks. That's one of our topics. But today is addition. So what do we need to add? It's just these 2 things. We need to add to our life a relationship with him. The fact that we need to love him every single day. Add to your life a relationship with him, a daily walk with him. And then secondly, add to your life loving people. Now, there's something interesting about this verse. I want you to pay attention to it. It says, love your neighbor as yourself. Okay? It doesn't say love your neighbor if it's a certain type of neighbor. I think you need to hear that, especially in the world that we live in today. You need to understand that it does not specify what type of neighbor. It just says, love your neighbor. It doesn't say, love your white neighbor. It doesn't say, love your black neighbor. It doesn't say, love your Republican or your Democrat neighbor. It doesn't say, love your neighbor that makes a lot of money. Love your neighbor that doesn't make a lot of money. It just says, love your neighbor. And that's the way we need to look at this. It doesn't matter about race. It doesn't matter about political background, any of these things. Those things don't matter. Those are earthly, things. We need to worry about loving people, regardless of where they come from, regardless of their background. We love people. That's what he's called us to do. And there is no other command greater than these. So we need to add loving God to your life. These are the things that you need to add every single day. Wake up, loving God, having a relationship with him, finding ways to love people. If you can do those two things, then you're on the right track. One more thing that he adds at the end of Mark, in Mark chapter 16, verse 15, he actually gives us a command. So this is one more thing that you need to add to your life. Okay, if there's something, we're talking about addition. If there's one more thing to add to loving God and loving people, it's this. It's the Great Commission. This is when Jesus is standing on the hillside and he's about to ascend into heaven, and all the disciples are looking around and they're like, "What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do now? Like, you basically carried us for 3 years. You're leaving. What are we supposed to do?" And he gives them the Great Commission. It's in Mark chapter 16, verse 15. It says, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creations." Again, go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creations. Again, let's look at this. It doesn't specify who we tell about Jesus. It doesn't specify don't tell people about that or don't tell Jesus to those people. Or, just because if they look that way, we don't tell them about Jesus. No, it says to all creations. To all creations. And I need you to understand, like you hear that word, go into all the world. And you think in your head, like, okay, well, we have missionaries that do that. Like, those are the people that are going to Africa. Those are the people that are going to Haiti and South America and all over the world to deliver the message, to China, to all over the place. Those are the ones that are delivering the message to the world. And that's great, and that's awesome, and they're wonderful, and we pray for those people, and we wish the best upon them. But you need to understand that, this message is for you as well. I know there's another translation that actually says, "Go into all nations." Okay? Now that's another big word right there, nations. But you need to understand that what a nation actually is. A nation is the people. It's not a place, it's a people. So the people that are in your classroom, the people that play on your football team, the people that are in your drama club, the people that are in your band, the people that you sit with at lunch, the people that are in your study hall, the people that you work with when you go to your job, the people that are in your family. That is your nation. Those are the people that God has set around you for you to deliver the Great Commission. Those are the people. You are not here by accident. You are not in year 2021, in January of 2021, by accident, just a mishap. You just happen to fall into this time-space continuum, however you want to say it, You are here for a purpose. God has put you here on this earth for a purpose. Not only that, he's put you in this place at this time around these certain people for a purpose. You are here for a reason, and your reason is to go and deliver the gospel. Okay? So these are things that we should be adding to our life. Loving God with everything that's inside of us. Building a one-on-one relationship with him. Every single day we walk with him. Loving people, regardless of political background, regardless of race, none of that matters. We love people. That's what we do. And then we go and we deliver the message. We deliver the good news. That's what the gospel stands for. Good news. We go and deliver the good news to people who are hurting, people who are in need, people who need to hear good things. And it's our job as Christians to go and deliver this message every single day. We look for opportunities to deliver this message. These are the three things that we need to be adding to our life. Loving God, loving people, and delivering the Great Commission. Now, don't get me wrong. The depth of theology is awesome, and it's amazing, and it's wonderful how deep, how knowledgeable we can be about Christ, but we can't get lost in the depth if we're forgetting the basics. Loving God, loving people, delivering the Great Commission. Those are the basics. And if we can add those to our life every single day, you will start to see some amazing things happen. Because when God shows up, not only does he show up, he shows out. And he does some cool things. So if we can add that, like I said, loving God, loving people, and delivering the Great Commission, going into all the world and preaching the gospel, preaching the good news to the people that need to hear it, you will start to see some amazing, amazing things happen. Remember, don't miss the simple by getting lost in the deep. Don't miss what we're supposed to do by getting lost in the deep. Okay, theology is great, but if you're so deep in theology you're forgetting the basics, then we need to take a step back. Don't get so lost in the deep that you forget what to do during the simple. And if you can do that, I guarantee you will see some great, great things happen. I'm excited to see what God's going to do through you guys, and we will see you guys next time. Hey, you want to be caught up on everything that's happening at the CY? Make sure you're following us on Facebook at Cornerstone Youth South Haven and on Instagram at CY_South Haven. Make sure to give us a follow and check out our stuff.